Hello friends, and welcome back to another Rhastakhan's Rumble card, review, preview, bit of a chat. Continuing on from what we did on Wednesday, where we took a look at the first, about 20 cards or so that have been spoiled from Rhastakhan's Rumble. I was looking on Hearthstone before, saw that they have the full recap of all the card reveals that we missed, so we're going to go through those, have another chat. Like before, we're going to be paying attention to mostly budget cards, but that won't stop us from commenting on these sweet, sweet legendaries. So without further ado, big shout out to Fluxflasher, as always, for sharing the content, getting it all up there. What an absolute genius. Fluxflasher, one of my favorite people in the Hearthstone community, doesn't get enough credit for what they do. Pinhead, what's going on? Almost called you Pinhead, jeez. We're just about to take a look at some Rhastakhan's Rumble cards, have a bit of a chat about them. Without further ado, we've got the Hunter card, Revenge of the Wild. So this is a... Get a bit of a zoom out there. Oh my gosh. Revenge of the Wild. 2 mana, summon your beast that died this turn. If this doesn't scream combo potential, I don't know what does. We were literally just talking about Charged Devil's Oars before we went live with this video. So I think that's what this kind of card says to me, is like we want to try and set up a situation where we, smash a bunch of Charged Devil's Oars or something like that into our opponent, play Revenge of the Wild, get them all back, potentially some kind of shenanigans with summoning copies of things, with the Barnes style effects. Where we can get some full strength copies back. But Revenge of the Wild seems pretty interesting. Doesn't seem like it fits into any of the current Hunter decks. Seems more like this is going to create a new archetype or something along those lines. Other than that, could also work with like death rattles and things like that. If we, we were actually also just talking about this, if we, cube or do something like that to one of our beasts, we can use Revenge of the Wild to, mitigate some of the downside of getting your cube silenced, but also, potentially give you heaps and heaps more upside. I think cube kind of naturally would fit into a deck that's trying to do something with Revenge of the Wild. So, look for this card to be, doing a lot of stuff, particularly with charge minions, I would say. Really nice one. Love it. I think this is going to open up some space for new decks, and that's always a good thing. Onto the Mage card, we have Blast Wave, a sweet troll action going on in the picture. This is going to be a pretty good golden card, I imagine. Says 5 mana Mage spell, it's an epic, deal 2 damage to all minions, overkill. So overkill's the new keyword. If we kill something by more than its toughness, we add a random Mage spell to our hand. So, just like people play around Defile or something like that. Blast Wave might be another card to play around. It's a board clear that doesn't require you to be big spell mage either, unlike Dragon's Fury, that kind of stuff. So I think Blast Wave is pretty interesting. Beazel, you should give everything a % chance of seeing a nerf. I'm going to say 0 to everything so far. I don't know. Nothing's jumped out as being obviously busted, but even then, in the previous expansions when we've seen cards like Lich King or whatever, we've like, that's clearly really strong. It's not those cards that get nerfed. It's the Dark Pacts, it's the Possessed Lackeys that get nerfed. So I don't think we've seen anything like that, but who knows? Maybe Revenge of the Wild is super busted and it gets nerfed and costs 6 at some point. Who knows? But yes, Blast Wave looks really good.
Sent in by Morgan Davey. Keep it wavy. Morgan Davey, thank you.
Pindead, thank you for the follow. Now riding the wave. Love you, love you, love you. But Blast Wave seems really interesting. I think it will go into big spell mage decks as maybe the third 5 mana board clear, or the second 5 mana board clear, but the third and fourth copy. Not going to make any new archetypes, just jump straight into the existing control mage archetypes. Unduster OP. Actually, that guy does seem pretty cool. Onto the Paladin, we've got a Paladin Legendary, High Priest Thekel. Or Thekal? Call him Thekel. Theki. Battle 3 mana 3/4. Already good stats. Battle Cry. Convert all but one of your hero's health into armor. Interesting. So this is, I think, a lot like Crystallizer in a lot of the decks that play Crystallizer. So we saw people trying out Crystallizer in various heal aggro decks as a way to damage yourself, but without playing a poorly statted card. Like if you were to play Emerald Reaver, the 1 mana 2/1 that damages both heroes for 1. Crystallizer has a better body, being a 1/3, and puts damage on you, which allows you to heal, which allows you to trigger your Light Wardens, trigger your Happy Ghouls, and things like that. We also saw in some warrior decks playing Battle Rage, you would play Crystallizer as both a way to get a bigger shield slam, but also as a way to be damaged so that you can draw more cards with Battle Rage. Crystallizer is used just for the 1/3. In some decks it is, but we've seen Crystallizer be played in other decks as a way to turn on various effects. I think Thekkel, that's the idea behind him, is we've seen a lot of heal-centric Paladin cards with... what was it? Wasn't there something yesterday that costs less for each health you've restored or something like that? I think that's kind of the Paladin theme for this set, and Thekkel allows you to have 29 extra health that you can restore, which is really good. Obviously, it's a non-bow with Crystallizer, so it seems like you might have to make the choice of, do you play 2 Crystallizers or do you play Thekkel? But an interesting one. We'll see how the archetype develops. Onto Rogue. Walk the Plank. This is a magic card. Destroys an undamaged minion. So I guess similar to Sinister Strike, was it? The 3 mana, deal 5 damage to an undamaged character. I think Walk the Plank kind of is pretty similar to that. 4 mana is obviously a little bit cheaper than Assassinate, and Assassinate's kind of proven to be not super playable in Standard at almost any point in time past the first couple of sets. So maybe 4 mana is a better place for a strict removal spell. It's also common, which is pretty good. I don't think we're going to see this card see much play, at least until Vilespine leaves the meta. I think Vilespine is just a better, slightly conditional removal spell, but it is common. So if we are looking to do some budget kind of controlling decks, or maybe some very aggressive rogue decks, we could use Walk the Plank as a at the top end of the curve to just eliminate big taunts. So it could have a place. I like where they're going with this. They're trying to push that like Assassinate down a little bit, but without making it too unconditional. If this was just 4 mana destroy a minion, it would be fantastic. But I like Walk the Plank. I like it. Unrelated to Hearthstone, but an update on the tournament that I'm crushing. Just won the semis by turn 3ing my opponent twice in a row. Crush it, J0. Loving it. Prep plus Walk the Plank, setting up an even rogue. Okay, I can get behind Prep Walk the Plank. I mean, it is 2 for 1ing, but in a lot of those tempo decks, especially like an even rogue, But even rogue is a bit ridiculous. We'll see what happens. If even rogue is a thing, Gemini, then I'll definitely shout. I'll definitely shout you out. You get 2 more ornaments if even rogue becomes a thing. Shaman. All right. Shaman Weapon. Lickham. 2 mana 1/3 has +2 attack whilst you have overloaded mana crystals. So I believe, I'm not 100% on this, but I believe that means if you have either overloaded crystals for the next turn or overloaded crystals for this turn, it does become a 3/3 weapon. And for 2 mana, that's really good. Lick him. If you can't beat him, lick him. I think this is interesting. Unfortunately, I guess this could just be another tool in, say, Shudderwock. It allows them to remove small individual targets, and that's a deck that does overload itself quite often, playing both Lightning Storm and Volcano. I I think it could be okay. It helps you against those zoo matchups as well, which is traditionally the matchup that Shutterwock, has to hedge the most against. Lick the Rich. That's very good. I think Lickham will see play for sure. I think there's enough overload stuff that you'd play anyway, and that's really where you want. You don't want to be making an overload deck to put this in, because I don't think it's enough of an upside. But I could be totally wrong. I hope I'm totally wrong. This could also help out in the just the full-on overload deck where we try and play the Spellstone and the Snow Fury Giants and stuff. This could just help us survive a bit longer in the early games. So I really like this card. It's also rare, so we might get to play within some of the budget decks, like a budget overload list. Could be interesting. I think this is a really nice design space, and we'll see where it goes from here. And we've got some neutral cards, so we'll go through them one at a time. Let's see if I can I zoom this? Kind of. Alright, that's fine. So we got the Masked Contender. It's a 3-mana 2/4. A wrestling boy. Love a good wrestle boy. Battlecry. If you control a secret, play a secret from your deck. Well, now that is interesting. I mean, Secret Hunter's already a great deck, a viable deck. Mid-range Hunter with secrets in there, already a viable deck. Now a 3-mana 2/4 is a bit weak on stats, and there are a lot of very good Hunter 3-drops as well in terms of fitting the curve. We've already got Eaglehorn Bow, Animal Companion, Bear Shark. Plenty of good 3-drops. But this could be good. Obviously in Mage it's a bit better because you get a lot more value out of getting the other secret, and in Paladin it's just kind of a bit weird. Not unplayable, but just a bit weird, especially considering you have Bellringer Sentry, which does some very similar stuff within the class. But I think this could be interesting for like a Secrets Mage list where you try and set down like try and use this to put Counterspell and Explosive Runes into play, or possibly a third secret, maybe if Mage gets another good secret. But I think this is most likely to see play in Hunter, but I don't know if it's going to be great in Hunter. At the very least, Hunter has a lot of has varied secrets. So, if you have Wandering Monster in play and you play this, you can get the Snake Traps, or you can get Freezing Traps and things like that, which are good against different decks. So this can help you get those the secrets that matter. Yeah, I think this one's okay. I like it. I don't know if it'll be super playable, but it's an interesting space to explore. The Soup Vendor, 2-mana 1/4. Whenever you restore 3 or more health to your hero, draw a card. That's really cool. 1/4 is a reasonable body. I think 4 toughness is kind of a bit of a flashpoint right now. Whenever you restore 3 or more health to your hero. So, what's that, like Seal of Light, Earthen Ring Farseer, Shroom Brewer. Those are all just fine cards to be playing. In Warlock, we can play the Spellstone. This card might actually fit into even Warlock, just as a little bit of extra card draw. Obviously, with the Paladin kind of heal deck, it could be great in that, depending on how good the healing cards are. I think that's the main thing to take away from this, is if you consider like the cards that heal you also have to be good. You can't just play this with a bunch of terrible healing cards and expect to have a deck. So I'm keen to see if this card does anything. It's also rare, so we might actually be able to have like some kind of strange like aggro heal deck, which is not actually too strange, I guess, at this point. But if you start playing Earthen Ring Farseers rather than Fungal Enchanters in Zoolock, this could actually draw you some cards, but not like Zoolock needs to draw any more cards, and not like Zoolock wants to be playing a 2-mana 1/4 either. more like Paladin heal deck. Oh my gosh, heal HELL with those big muscular Paladin wrestler boys. That's very good. I like that. Technically, it's a 1 mana 2/4 if you count the secret value. The Mask Contender. That is true. Pretty high value, but you also have to have the secret in play, right? And the difficulty with Hunter is might not necessarily be getting the secret into play, but keeping the secret into play in play. I mean, admittedly, the cool thing is that most people don't attack in to a wandering monster like with a 1-drop or a 2-drop. Like, people have learnt to not do that. So I guess you're more likely to be able to get it off there. So that's true. That's true. I'm liking where your head's at, Gemini. I'm really liking where your head's at. Let's take a look at Rabble Bouncer. This is a 7 mana 2/7. So great for Star Aligner. With taunt, costs 1 less for each enemy minion. So this is similar to the guy from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, who the 5 mana 4/5 taunt that costs 3 if your opponent had more minions than you. Or it maybe costs 4 or something like that. It's like a cheaper Senjin Shield Master kind of thing. And this costs 1 less for each enemy minion. So you imagine a board where your opponent has 3 things, which I think is pretty common. They're playing around the mind control tech. This is a 4 mana 2/7, which is reasonable. Obviously, this card super punishes Odd Paladin. Super punishes. Like, if you can ever play this and then play like Defile or Hellfire or Blast Nova, which we saw before, or anything like that, it's a massive tempo play. So I think Rabble Bouncer, I would look for this card to see play, especially in very aggro heavy metas, aggro go wide metas. I think this one is going to be an interesting meta choice. Also, that 7 toughness, who knows? Star Aligner, we could see some shenanigans happening there. Yeah, that's very good. Excellent. What else have we got? Armani Warbear. Do I get to ride it? Is this a mount? 7 mana 5/7, rush, taunt. Yeah. I think this is great. Obviously, this sounds like a phenomenal arena card, as it can get you back into the game whilst also protecting you. It's a beast as well, so if we are, using Katharina Winterwisp, or we're, vomiting beasts from somewhere, maybe with our, what's the name, Undasta rips beasts out. Having it with Rush is one of the best things that you can have. I think this card is all around really solid. It's obviously not going to be meta defining because generally 7 mana cards aren't, especially 7 mana common ones. But I think this card will see play in like I said, those death rattly huntery decks as an interesting option to get back into the game. Obviously combos well with Undasta. I think this is cool. Really cool. I'm a fan. Hopefully it has some sweet sounds. And the last card we have here is Saronite Taskmaster. 1 mana 2/3. Death Rattle. Summon a 0/3 free agent with taunt for your opponent. So, the question we have to ask ourselves is this the second coming of the Chow? The Zombie Chow. One of the... Now, speaking of format-defining cards, that was a format-defining card. It was a card that's played in almost every deck as a way to survive the early game. Just for those of you who don't know what Zombie Chow was, it's a 1 mana 2/3 that Death Rattle restored 5 health to your opponent. So it was not a common aggressive card because if they killed it, it usually healed them for more damage than it did. But it's a fantastic mid-range or control card because you can trade into your into almost anything an aggressive deck would play, and you don't care about restoring the 5 health because they probably don't take any damage. So is this the second coming of the Chow? Because we can use this to trade early against an aggressive deck, Odd Paladin, Zoo Warlock, that kind of stuff, and then giving them a taunt. Giving Odd Paladin a taunt is not great because it helps protect their war leaders. Giving Zoo could help protect their Light Wardens, but those are some worst case scenarios. I think in general, this card will allow a lot of those decks that do have a weak early game. So if we think about like a Shuttlewalk Shaman or something like that, or these Resurrect Priests probably don't want to play this, but a controlling Priest deck that doesn't do Resurrect stuff could totally want this card as a way to compete in the early game, maybe get some free damage in. But I think it will have to be a conscious choice. I think this will be a great card for tournament decks. If you want to, specifically bring a deck for a matchup and perhaps hedge against a couple more. Could be very, very good. But yeah, let me know if you're watching this video on YouTube. The comment section's right down there. What of the cards that we've taken a look at today, which one are you most excited for? I think for me, it's probably going to be Revenge the Wild. I think just the possibilities are endless. But it could also be the Amani Warbear. Honestly, this day of spoilers has been fantastic. There's lots of great cards here. Let me know what you're liking. Let me know what you're most excited for out of Rhastakhan's Rumble. And until next time, stay safe, stay wavy, and lick the rich. Lick 'em! Bye. I hope you enjoyed that video. Check out other ones over here, or come subscribe to the Wave Pool for more excellent times.